even though bitter experience should tell them that actually that guy's going to rip you off too. But it's okay. We kind of know
this is just the prelude to a bigger ripoff.
Yeah, but we know what we like. Okay, that pitch would have totally worked. But Donald Trump, instead of taking that pitch to the people of New York City, where maybe the New York Times or the New York Post would have been like, oh, he's going after the teachers unions or something, right? Like, oh, that's bad. Okay, sacred, but whatever. But instead, he went straight for like the presidency, talking about like banning Muslims and shit. And they're like, "Whoa, what? Where's our blackmail on Donald Trump?" And they got some stuff about his tax returns. I'm like, that's not going to cut it. But anyway, so with Cuomo, they're not pulling out blackmail material. They're like, "Oh, did you know that Cuomo has been like making crude remarks at his interns and like
Have you seen that sausage video?
No. Oh, no? Yes. Okay, where he brought a girl to the table and made her eat a sausage sandwich. This is kind of like that the Hunter Biden thing where it's like, look at this video, and I look at it and I was like, what am I supposed to be seeing?
Yeah, okay, that's what I was hoping you'd say. So I watched it, and my take on that was it looked like this was a reporter or someone that was like not involved but was trying on the periphery, and they made a comment. I'm assuming, but it seems to me like they basically said something about, how do I get some food? And it seemed like he was jokingly saying, like, if you want food, I will get you food, but, this sandwich you better eat the whole thing. I'm going to hold you to that. You're not going to just get some free food or whatever. And I don't even think there's necessarily anything sexual about what he said.
No. Any sexuality is simply in the word sausage.
Yeah, I could easily see that exact same thing happening with a meatball sub, of just like him saying, like, she's teasing him about like, how do I get some of this food? And him basically saying like, I will pull my strings to get you food, but like, you're not going to fake ask me for food so you can nibble on it, because she's like a young, pretty girl who does not look like the type that's about to sit down and pound that sandwich. And he's kind of saying like, all right, I'll get it for you, but like, you're not playing that shit. If you get it, you're going to sit down here, you're going to eat this fucker. Are you prepared for that? Is he being flirty and in a creepy, like, not very skilled way with not very much game? Sure. Was there anything there where I would have thought, oh, this is a scandal? No. And that's evidenced by the fact that he is not only on camera, but he knows he's on camera.
Yeah. It was purely to flex, right?
Yeah.
It was some kind of,
his daughter is sitting next to him.
Yeah, there was some kind of
I'm supposed to believe he's
on.
going like, they make it sound like he's Andrew Cuomo pushing a sausage down her throat, going like, "Yeah, take it." It's like
Andrew Cuomo's feeder fetish.
Yeah, this didn't happen at all. This is one of those things where it's so easy to interpret this as just an innocent.
Yeah, I can actually put myself perfectly in the moment because I'm seeing the video now. Yeah, he's sitting at a table. It's got like 12 people there, including members of his family. It's clearly some kind of like, if not a fundraising event, it is something semi-official, right?
Where he has food because he's at the table, and she's some sort of a reporter, and therefore does not have food.
And so she's just like, "Oh, can I talk to you guys? Can I say?" She just wanted attention, and then she was saying like, "Oh yeah, exactly. He said, I can eat it." And, okay, and then he leans over to the waiter and says, presumably, "Go get her a sausage sandwich." I don't really know how common like sausage and pepper sandwiches are outside of New York. Like, Dan, have you had one? I mean,
yeah, it's an Italian thing. So big cities with Italian populations, it's a thing like St. Anthony's Feast or anything in Boston. There's lots of places serving sausage, pepper, and onion, and it's a thing.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. So, they are pretty filling. And so
they can classically they can fall prey to the sort of eyes are bigger than your stomach. Where you look at it and you go, "Oh, that looks good," and then you take 2 bites and you're like, "Holy hell, I was not prepared for that."
Because sausages are not just meat; there's also grain in them, so they'll fill you fast.
Yeah.
And so he sat her down and said, "This is my daughter," and he had like, you don't sexually harass a girl you just told to shake hands with your daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I mean, New Yorkers
or if you're going to make the claim that that's what happened, the video is going to be a lot worse than what we saw.
Yeah.
If you're going to say that what happened is he's sexually harassing this woman, and I just saw her there, and his daughter is sitting right there, and he said, "Shake my daughter's hand." Now you're saying the next thing he says is sexual harassment. It's got to be better than I'll get you a sandwich, but you have to eat the whole thing.
You gotta eat the whole thing, and don't. And even he was like, and she was trying. It's really funny now. She's like trying to like, oh, I don't know, maybe I overestimated myself, and he's like not letting her.
Yeah,
I'm really getting respect for Andrew Cuomo here because he's like not letting her escape.
Yeah,
right. It's like, oh no, and he's like laughing but not laughing, like you said. But yeah. I do think like Andrew Cuomo really was like in that moment ready to force this girl to eat at least half of that sandwich. Like he was gonna make her.
Here's a good example that I think might help. If this was a German American community and they're drinking those giant steins of beer.
Oh yeah.
And some reporter is trying to get in there and jabbing and make some little joke about like, where's my beer? And you say, you want one? Do you want me to get you one of these big beers? Because if so, you got to sit down here and drink it and finish it. Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
And they go, well, I love a sip of beer. It's like, no. Do you want a beer? If you do, you can sit down and drink it, but I'm not going to let you take a sip and get out of here. You're going to sit down and you're going to drink it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing sexual about that.
Oh, yeah, no way. Well,
it's just someone being like...
For a certain kind of person who doesn't have a vor fetish, but just like, likes flexing on people. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a certain amount of joy. It's amazing. I'm actually feeling that excitement by proxy right now to say something. It either says something about me,
because there's a fun in calling someone's bluff.
Yes, exactly.
In any situation, there's a fun in calling someone's bluff. So they say, "Oh, I'll do that," and you go, "Okay, but do you even know what you're saying? Because if you do, you can do it." And the idea that this is some kind of a scandal is ridiculous. And this is why I think that the idea that this is to distract from the real scandal, I think is probably true. Because now the scandal is this joke that makes no sense, and it's not him shuffling, the Typhoid Mary of COVID into an old folks' home where they just wiped everybody out.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Which is allegedly supposed to be the CDC guidelines, but somehow it only happened in 3 states that have, or 5 states that have that are run by Democrats.
So one other thing I didn't get a chance to emphasize: how is this all they have on him? Right? I mean, this is so weak. You'd think surely you would have more on Cuomo. Right? I can't believe that he could get as far as he did and not have enough to just like, especially, I mean, Cuomo pissed off a lot of people because don't forget. So Cuomo pissed off a lot of conservatives just from and they don't matter. But also Cuomo was he and de Blasio had this issue where when New York's Orthodox Jewish community was having like 500-man funerals in the streets, he was showing photos of them doing it and saying, "Hey, don't do that." De Blasio had that tweet like, "My message to the Jewish community and all communities is simple. The time for warnings has passed. I'm ordering the NYPD to begin issuing citations to anybody seen gathering in groups." And conservatives were like, "Wow, the mayor of New York City is ordering the NYPD to round up Jews." I'm sure I've talked about this. That if you said anything like this, I don't respect you. You have worms in your brain. But Cuomo was kind of doing the same thing, and people were calling him an anti-Semite and so on and so forth. And because he was like, "They're doing this. Here's a picture of them doing it. Stop doing this. I'm sending the cops to stop you from doing this and give you tickets and fines if you keep having all these mass gatherings. Like you can't ignore me." And again, this too is evidence that Democrats are taking COVID seriously, right? Like it's like with global warming, Democrats act like it's fake, and to an extent, they act like COVID is fake, or they're like Black Lives Matter protests don't spread COVID, right? But at the same time, they're using 2 white guys as the front men. They are like calling out Orthodox Jewish groups by name, telling them, "Hey, you have to listen to the rules, and if you don't, we're gonna order the NYPD to like give you guys tickets and such." This, I think, is a sign that Cuomo does not think that COVID is a hoax. Actually, also, New York City didn't really have large Black Lives Matter protests, despite the NYPD, having choked a black guy to death that one time, like a year ago. Actually, wow, Eric Garner was many years ago. There's a lot of interesting things you can get from the Democrats here. And the point is, so Cuomo pissed off, interesting people, and yet all that is had on him is full, the sausage video, just the kind of thing that you can basically manufacture on any politician and not the kind of stuff that you'd surely have in the deck. What do you think? Why do you think that is, Dan? I don't actually have an answer. I'm asking you. Why do you?
Why quote they have not like pulled something worse?
Yeah. Why don't they use the Epstein document?
Because they might not be trying to actually take him down.
They're just trying to neutralize him for a while, just
change this headline because they're willing to let him go if they need to, but why pull out the biggest gun you have on a guy who might be going anyway? If he's going anyway, the important thing is this, that we make sure that people aren't talking about this COVID response and we talk about something else. It doesn't mean we have to pull out all the stops on him. In fact, if we pull out a very weak stop, that's even better because then we kind of do both at once. On the one hand, we change the headline, and if we need to dump Cuomo, we can dump him. But on the other hand, if we don't need to dump him, this isn't so bad that it means we can't associate with the guy. Because so far, really, what do they have on what has been dumped on Cuomo? This sausage video and like he might have rubbed somebody's shoulders or something. I don't even know if that's what it was, but it was literally something like that. It was just nothing.
Yeah, this is not enough to get.
It's a little distraction. Change the headline. And if they need to, then they can just move on and go back to loving Cuomo. Yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah, there was some things, but, blah, blah, blah.
I'll tell you, no New York Democrat is stepping down from public office on this. This is not enough.
Yeah, exactly. So
it is simply...
If they wanted him to step down from public office, they could do that with something else.
You need to do a lot fucking better than that.
But, yeah, so this is... the idea would be that, they just wanted to change the headline on this. They're not trying to destroy Cuomo. They're just trying to change the subject.
Yeah, listen, Donald Trump was a New York Democrat all his life, right? To give you an idea of just where our threshold is for the moral conduct we expect from politicians, like, I need something a little more real. See, Dan, you recently watched Star Wars, so you...
Yeah. Now I get these autistic references that you make.
Now, moving up to the federal level, Biden launched an airstrike on Syria because Iranian-backed militias attacked U.S. troops in Iraq. It's 2021, and there are U.S. troops in Iraq who are coming under attack. Now, it's unknown if those U.S. forces refer to the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria or to actual soldiers. But this happens. And so, in self-defense... Right, the United States launched airstrikes on Syrian targets, on Iranian-backed militias. This idea of an Iranian-backed militia, I noticed certain people, like in my circles, saying like, "Oh, there's no such thing." No, there are Iranian-backed militias, and that's good, right? It is good that Iraqis are capable of defending themselves from Islamic terror through the help of a Shia theocracy. Iraq is a majority Shia country. Iran is a Shia theocracy. Al-Qaeda is a Sunni jihadist terrorist group and ISIS wants to just kill all Shia, right? The fact that Iran is giving Shia weapons to defend themselves, right? Oh, Iranian-backed militia, good. Honestly, good. We should just simply start referring to to Al-Qaeda affiliates as U.S.-backed militia, right? And in fact, very often we do when we talk about this, we call them these moderate rebels. Those are U.S.-backed militias. And it's kind of insane that the Syrian government can call in aid from its own ally, and then America would be like, hey, no fair, right? And then start bombing them. Like, why is Iran in Syria, but we can't be in Syria? It's like, are you an anarchist? No. Okay, well then the Syrian government has the right to bring in foreign troops to bolster itself against, again, a regime change war backed by its enemies with factions that are genocidal. There is no non-anarchist way to say that the Syrian Arab Republic does not have the right to let Iranian intelligence services operate in their own country.
What a mess this whole thing is.
Yeah, and so Joe Biden is calling in strikes on Syria.
Did you hear about the one he canceled?
Yes, that was actually the next thing I was going to get to. Right, so then now the story...
Because he's a Catholic, he's a deeply religious man at heart, with a love of, and he supports the right to life.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so conservatives, since Trump and the Trump, orbits, have been hammering how great it is that Trump didn't start any new wars, even though he escalated some of them. But he didn't start any new wars. So a lot of conservatives have started to feel a lot better about opposing war, and especially I've noticed conservatives are making fun of wars as being woke. So you'll see there's this meme going around of a JDAM. A JDAM is an attachment to a bomb that turns any normal bomb into a guided bomb, and it